Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Back again for another review of MobLand for Paramount Plus. This will be episode 7 of season 1, episode entitled The Crossroads. And so before we get into the review, I always like to give a score. The scoring system is 0 to 5, 0 being trash and 5 being a masterpiece. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was a great episode. We had a lot of moving parts going on. Definitely suspenseful throughout. It kind of went exactly how I thought it was going to go. If you saw my last prediction video, I predicted one of the major deaths that we got in the episode. So with the score out of the way, let's go ahead and let's get into the review. So I'm going to start with the title, Crossroads. So when you look at the meaning of the word crossroads, the crossroads is a point in which a crucial decision must be made that will have far-reaching consequences. And that's what we had going on in this episode. We had several characters who were making decisions that will eventually become far-reaching. There will be far-reaching consequences to those decisions. So the way I'm going to break this breakdown is we're just kind of going to go to location / storyline. So I'm going to start at the Coswald. And so right off the bat at the Coswald, we have O'Hara, the family lawyer. She is basically breaking down the severity of the situation. I mean, we've been watching the show, we know, but now the lawyer is telling these guys, and it's starting to somewhat set in. Like they're starting to realize, you know, this rap business is serious. This could really do some serious damage to the family. So, of course, they get a call from Harry. Harry telling them that, hey, everybody's dead. There's no sign of Brendan and Serafina. And so Maeve puts on a performance, you know, the grief-stricken mother, and disappears in the room and makes a phone call to Richie. Now, she's pissed at Richie for reneging on their deal. Brendan was supposed to be left alone, but he bagged him up along with Serafina. And Richie, and like I said, man, I know a lot of people are starting to root for Richie. I said this in my last review. I said this on our Facebook group. I'm starting to pull for Richie, and Richie, once again, his response is very smart. He's like, well, I took him for insurance. Because here's the thing, Serafina she's a bastard, and he doesn't know her value necessarily to the family. Actually, she's actually more valuable to Brendan in the grand scheme of the Harrigans. If you had a pecking order, she's ahead of him, but he doesn't know that. And based on the way Maeve talked about her, he's, you know, I would be like, I don't know, I'm gonna need something else. But you know, he went ahead and I guess you could say he reneged on the deal. Also, and we'll talk a little bit more about Maeve as well, but also Jan, like I said, we just discussed this rap business. Jan decides to go meet Alice and sneaks off the compound, which she's discovered. And her and Alice, they sit down and talk, and Alice is working her, and the conversation starts to lead to gangsters and killers. And our man Paul arrives on scene and removes Jane out of there. And he promptly basically infers Alice that, hey, if you keep fooling around here, messing around with things involving Jan and Acid, you're gonna have problems. Basically, he's telling her in a nice but menacing way that whatever you're doing, you need to stop. So, and then of course they get in the car, and Paul is asking great questions. He's grilling her like, who is this person? You barely know this person. Why? So like I said, with this rap business being in the air, and Paul, he's going to report all this back. And so I can see Maeve spinning this somehow, or Conrad going unhinged because he's already had a few issues with Jane, and he's seen this woman who she's met with. So, and they already knew she was seeing a therapist. So they're just going to dig more and more. And I think by the finale, it's going to be found out that she's working with Fisk. So we'll see how that unfolds. So also somebody else something else that's going on, who's making decisions and making moves that have far-reaching consequences. Kevin, he has inquired about Rugsby, the guard who abused him when him and Harry were locked up as kids. He got the info, well, through his wife Bella, he got the housekeeper's information, Maria, from Jan. And when Bella asked him, he's basically none of your business. I'm not telling you. And he goes out, makes a phone call. So things are in place. Things are in place. Things are about to happen. It's just I predicted it 3 or 4 episodes ago that I think eventually Kevin is going to meet up and get his revenge. He's going to get his get back on the guard that abused him all those years ago. Also, now I definitely believe Maeve played a part in this, and what I'm talking about is Gina and Eddie. So Eddie, slithers his way in as many snakes will do, and he's trying to play mind games with Gina, which we all know Gina, she had that big psychology test. So she's into psychology. She reads him before he can have a chance to enact his scheme, as she called it. He was mirroring her. He's basically he finds out he knows a bit about her, and he's trying to mirror his experiences with hers to try to find some common ground. And she's just like, nice try, but she still it's implied I'm pretty sure Eddie smashed. So that's a whole new variable now, that once again, consequences. Jan leaves the compound, and this is, I firmly believe this is a consequence of her leaving the compound, that Eddie's able to get close, get his tentacles into Gina. Right now, Gina's feeling a little rebellious. She's at that age. And, like mother, like daughter, she got her a bad boy. So this will definitely be an interesting situation going forward. Is Gina really, do you think Gina's going to actually like fall for Eddie? Or could it be one of those things where he starts to fall for her, and then Eddie starts to question Maeve? Like maybe he starts to realize, hey, my grandma's crazy as me. She's got me going in the wrong direction. So that'll be another one. That'll be very interesting. Once again, far-reaching consequences right there and then. All right, let's see. Moving on. So next we want to talk about Antwerp. I guess everything that happened with Harry's arrival. So Harry arrives, and of course, it's a bloodbath. It's literally written war is written in blood, literally. And Harry does what Harry does. He's moving, he's figuring things out. Through one of the dead bodies, he's able to find out, okay, the Moroccans are involved. And so he goes down to the docks where the Moroccans are. He's able to rabbit one of them out to get them to go to HQ. And he becomes John Wick. He's a one-man wrecking crew. He takes out everybody in the warehouse except one guy who he wounds pretty bad. And what we find out is, Richie went with the Mexicans, but the Mexicans couldn't get there fast enough, so they reached out to the Moroccans. The Moroccans bagged her up, gave her over to the cartel, and the person who has Serafina and Brendan from the cartel is none other than Jaime Lopez. Now, Jaime Lopez has been brought up, I would say, from episode, I want to say 2 or 3 and up. His name has been mentioned. And the issue with Jaime Lopez is an offense that was done to his father many years ago by Conrad Harrigan, which we discussed in, I think it was in the previous episode. So when Serafina and Brendan are in this warehouse, they are awake. They were previously unconscious. They're awake and aware. Of course, Brendan, he is cracking up. He's falling apart, whereas Serafina is being very rational. You can see the gears moving. She's starting to think about how this situation became tits up. What happened? How did this happen? And she realizes that it wasn't on her brother, Brendan. Brendan starts to apologize, but she realized it's not on him. Someone sold them out. She figures that out. And of course, Jaime comes in. She tries to bargain, not knowing that, once again, that Jaime has a history with her father. He explains that history, and Serafina realizes that there's nothing I can do about this. We're stuck like Chuck. We can't get out of this situation. So Richie as he should, gets on the phone with the Harrigans at the Coswalt, and he's peacocking, basically getting his supervillain monologue on. And he basically says, hey, I got him. Of course, Maeve tries to jump in. He tells her to basically go kick rocks. I ain't trying to hear what you got to say. And he basically tells him, here's a show for you, and let the show begin. And unfortunately, which I predicted, which I think a lot of people predicted, one of the Harrigan kids wasn't getting out of there alive. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to see it, Brendan is the one who doesn't get out alive. And once again, I can't stress it enough. Far-reaching consequences. Everything Maeve did, these are the results. These are the consequences. The wheeling and dealing and the conniving and backstabbing. This is what happened. You lost one. And so Brendan, unfortunately, I mean, it reminded me of that scene with Angel from Scarface in the bathtub scene in the shower, just getting chainsawed up. But yeah, they killed Brendan. But why this? I got a little bit ahead of myself. Before that actually started happening, Kevin gets Harry on the phone and basically tells him, "Man, they're about to kill him." And so Harry makes a call to Kat McAllister, who's a name that we've heard that is associated with Donnie. He gets Donnie on the phone. Donnie's, hey, I guess you want to talk. And Harry's like, I don't have time for this. I need to speak to Kat. They get Kat on the phone, and she basically, there's a talking, there's going back and forth, and the show does a great job from cutting in between the scenes of the chainsawing and Harry and Kat on the phone, and then the music, the score playing in the background, it just intensifies it. And finally, Kat's like, all right, I'll help you out. And so just before Serafina is about to get touched by the chainsaw, cut. She's saved. And Kat tells Harry, you owe me. And so, and the episode ends. We have more questions now. Who is Kat McAllister? And who is she to Harry, the Harrigans, or whoever? Because this has to be somebody next level. Flying on a private jet, is able to just make a phone call and end an execution immediately. So I'm very interested to see who this individual is. And I think we only got only got one more episode left. Damn, this season has flown by. I think it's only 8 episodes, but great. Or no, I think it's 10. It's 10. So we still got a couple more episodes. So maybe we'll get more into the connection between the two. Because yeah, we still got this stuff. There's other things we have to tie up, but yeah, I believe it's 10 episodes. I got a little bit ahead of myself, guys, but great episode. 4.5 out of 5, guys. So tell me what you think, guys. What are your theories on who Kat McAllister is? Who is this individual, and what's their ties to Harry or possibly the Harrigans or just the underworld in general? Who do you think this person is? I think this person has to somewhat be involved in government. They have to be somewhat connected to government. And they're playing kind of both sides, but I think this person has to be somewhat government. But yeah, so yeah. Oh yeah. One more thing. And Bella, once again, not learning her lesson. Her ass is out here playing these away games and making moves behind the scenes. Like, once again, far-reaching consequences. I think whatever she's doing, it's just not going to work out. Whatever she's doing, it ain't going to work. So she's not as bad as Brendan, but I just think she's somebody she's ahead of her skis. She's too big for her britches, So as the old folks would say back in the day, too big for your britches, boy or girl. So with that being said, everybody, guys, so appreciative to you. If it's 1 minute, 5 minutes on damn video, for taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already and you listen this far and you haven't, like I said, go ahead, hit that subscribe, smash the like, get in the comments. Tell me what you think about this episode and what are your theories so we can hash it out in the comment section. So with that being said, everybody, it's your boy P sign off, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Do me a favor. Take it easy.